As you may know, I just moved homes, so you'll have to bear with me with the lighting and audio because I've got work to do. It'll also be for you to decide if this green wall was a mistake or not, but at least it matches my merch. So anyway, there's a story I want to talk about because there's been a couple animals that's been returned to me because I take animals in and sell them on emerald scales, but there's the very occasional customer that decides they need to send the animal back. I talked about one of the last experiences with that with this ball python in a video if you want to watch that, because it was returned with stuck shed, a respiratory infection, and some pretty decent burns. So I'll talk about this one at the end of this video, but I want to talk about a different customer, who I would argue is actually a more interesting and annoying case. So in August of last year, just a normal morph male ball python was ordered by Willie Palmer, according to this random name generator. He sent pictures of his enclosure for the snake and everything checked out. Substrate was just coconut fiber. We had some questions about the heating and the lighting, and everything seemed perfectly fine. He was excited, he was friendly, he responded quickly, and we set up a ship date. Like normal, shipped the ball python out. He got it on time, set it up, and didn't really hear anything. All seemed well and it arrived just fine. But then 1 week later, we got an email from Willie that said, "I do not think I'm the right person for him at this time. I was wondering what your policy regarding returns or refunds is, or if he is now considered a surrender and I'd have to pay for him to be returned." So the policy, you do see it before you order an animal. There are no refunds and no returns. If we have to, we'll take an animal back. It depends on the reason, but we try to work with people because we do obviously want to make sure the animals ultimately end up in a good home. So we asked why he wanted to return the snake, and he said the issue wasn't health or feeding related, nothing serious. He wasn't in a different condition than he was expected to be in, but they said that it was his personality, which I just thought was kind of a funny term, saying, "Oh, I don't want this animal. I don't like his personality. Can you take it back?" Willie said, "I was hoping for a snake that could be handled easily, and he just doesn't seem to like being handled or disturbed, especially when he gets triggered by movement and wants to strike." We didn't get back to Willie immediately, because since it wasn't a serious health concern, this wasn't a top priority. They just didn't like his personality and couldn't handle him, so we would figure this out eventually, but didn't immediately, because we had other stuff to worry about. Also, at the same time, this is when we were starting to pack for the move we just did. I wasn't taking in any more animals, and every time an animal was shipped, I just packed up that supplies and was not expecting to have to use it. So I had nowhere to actually put a returned snake and was hoping that they could wait a bit longer. But then we got an email from Willie saying that, he shipped the snake today. We didn't confirm anything. He was just on the way to us. He also actually included some husbandry pointers on the ball python in the email, saying that he recommended giving him a dish of water to soak in. So thank you, Willie, for those tips. Then I got called from a Walgreens in Massachusetts, which I get some kind of weird calls, but a Walgreens from Massachusetts seemed pretty specific. I don't even use Walgreens, let alone in Massachusetts. And it turns out it was a kind of angry employee who said that there was a ball python in their FedEx Dropbox. One of these bad boys that are just kind of, out like on the street in front of the store. Oh, you're going to get your prescription and you can drop your FedEx packages off at the same time. But these are not picked up immediately. These are not for overnight shipment. These are just for some snail mail sort of stuff that doesn't need to be there for a while. Also, they're oftentimes just on the street, left in the sun, and who knows, of course, what the weather will be. So it turns out there was a package in there that said ball python written on it, and it had my name on the package because it was coming to me. So the customer, or the employee at Walgreens, thought that I put it in the box and they were upset with me. So after figuring things out on the phone, it turns out Willie decided to skip the whole process, skip the wait, and just bring it himself and put it in the box, which the employee then understood and was also upset by because it was a live animal in their Walgreens Dropbox. And so they contacted FedEx, who actually had an employee come out of his way. He didn't have to. This was totally voluntary. He drove the truck to that Walgreens just to pick up the ball python and drive it to the overnight facility himself. So shout out to that FedEx employee. Of course, every employee is different, but FedEx has been pretty good for us. And I appreciate that Massachusetts citizen who brought the ball python to make sure things were safe. So he got it to the FedEx center. I didn't want to bring the ball python in yet because I didn't have a setup for it, but I did get it from FedEx. I kind of had to. And he came in perfectly fine condition and seemed to have no temperament issues, because before I shipped this snake off, he was totally happy, super easy to hold, never struck, never even hit his head. It was so easy to care for. And when he came back, he was still like this. Even after being shipped 3 times from me to Massachusetts to the new customer, back from Massachusetts to me, instantly out of the box, no problems whatsoever. Then before I actually picked the snake up from FedEx, Willie emailed me saying, "Please let me know when the snake arrives, and when you pick him up, I want to make sure that all is well." No, I did not email him when I picked up the snake. I mean, once a customer's on the blacklist, it really doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with them. I appreciate that they cared, but I didn't email them. And yeah, so he was back with us, and I mean, even a week later, showed no issues, no personality problems. And this is very common. People will send us animals saying, be careful, it's super angry, it's super aggressive. Even in the unboxing videos, I'll be like bracing for this super grumpy snake or lizard or anything, and then it turns out it's perfectly fine. Normally, this has even happened in old Craigslist pickups when I would go to people's houses and they'd be like, okay, when you go into this room, this animal's gonna start freaking out, and then we'd walk in and just like pick it up, and the person would be like, well, how are you picking it up? Why is it not freaking out? And it's just oftentimes because the person is so anxious and giddy that they're like kind of moving sporadically and they look like a confused predator, and so it's understandable that the animal is kind of freaking out. So maybe that's what was happening, who knows, but I couldn't go to Willie's house and see what was happening, so who knows if that was a similar case or not. But then Willie emailed again, of course. Thankfully, I had access to his tracking info, so I know he was picked up promptly and is now safe in your care. However, I am incredibly frustrated that I have not been contacted in this last week about his status or arrival. I still care about his safety and health as an animal, and for you to dismiss my concerns and refuse to update me is unacceptable. I'm pretty sure we responded to, I don't know if we responded to that email, but that was that. I thought it was worth including. So the snake came back and was healthy and just hung out. And of course, we kind of do the whole process over again as if it's a new intake animal. Make sure like it's kind of kept away from all the other animals in a quarantine sort of fashion. Make sure it's eating and everything just as if we've never seen it before, because if we're gonna sell this to someone else, gotta make sure everything's okay still. So people say all sorts of things about everyone online, and Emerald Scales gets reviews like anyone else, and I just happened to eventually see a review from this person. The review about Emerald Scales said their communication is horrendous and they lied about when they would ship the ball python. I'm so frustrated, I don't think I'll ever purchase again. Bad reviews, it's perfectly fine. There's never gonna be a 100% satisfied base of customers, but the fact that they said I lied about when I shipped the ball python to them, which is, that was their primary reason for being upset in this whole situation for some reason. I checked the emails and I was looking through, and we both confirmed the ship date at 5 p.m. on the day that I shipped the snake to Willie Palmer, is that what it was? But then at 8 p.m. I sent them a follow-up email because I actually got stuck in a flash flood, and the traffic was so bad due to the flooding that I missed FedEx by about 10 minutes and they closed before I got there. So I emailed them a few hours later saying, sorry I couldn't make it, but we can do tomorrow. 30 minutes after I sent that email, Willie appreciated the update and said tomorrow works fine, and so we shipped. I don't know if Willie bought another ball python and from another person and he mixed us up, but for some reason he thought I lied about shipping when I got stuck in a flood, and then apologized, and we said it's everything. One said it's okay, and then we shipped tomorrow, but that just kind of annoyed me a little bit, I'll be honest. He also complained there was no heat pack when I sent the ball python to him, because they had seen the videos, the unboxings, that there's always heat packs, but it was like 80 or 90 degrees that day. It was September, it's not cold in September. It would have killed the snake using a heat pack, so yeah. After complaining I didn't use a heat pack though, he then dropped the snake in an outdoor Dropbox at Walgreens, probably in the sun. So I actually mentioned this experience. I said in another video, some people were returning animals and that it was kind of annoying. And I said one person was basically scared of the snake because it seemed like it was going to strike, and it might have striked like at the tub sort of, but Willie emailed and wanted to clarify, so I thought I'd update you. I'm not afraid of him. He's just highly reactive to any movement around his enclosure or body because he's so eager to strike/eat. He clearly is not interested in being handled or moved around, and he would make a much better pet for someone looking for a more of a display animal. So I've never heard of a ball python being a display animal, and he never had problems being handled, but it is what it is, and that's just kind of behind us. So I relisted the ball python. Again, just a normal male. It was like $120 or something. It was an adult. Someone else ordered, and then 7 days after they ordered, we were talking about the husbandry, and they just ended up with total buyer's remorse. So a week after, they said, please cancel the order. I am not capable for caring for this pet. It's gonna suffer under my care. So I don't mind this because we can cancel, but it's just, when I get emails like this, it's so insane to me how almost every other reptile seller, you click buy now, the money's taken out of your account, and then the next day, pretty much, it's shipped to you. It's like an Amazon order. It's just straight to your house as soon as possible. Maybe they'll let you pick a ship day, and maybe they'll contact you with some questions, but the far majority, it's just place the order and the animal comes to you. And the fact that this happens so often with so many issues, even when we try to verify people, it's just scary knowing what kind of conditions animals are being sent into. But what am I going to do about it? Nothing, because I can't do anything about it. But I'll keep doing my best, I guess. Finally, someone else ordered the ball python when it was listed a third time. This person was easy to talk to. They had a nice setup. They were approved, and he was shipped to Texas. Total, he was shipped 4 times. From some other state, I don't remember what state, to me in North Carolina, then to Massachusetts, then to North Carolina, and then to Texas in the matter of a few months or so. He traveled over 4,000 miles, and he took it like a trooper. All was well. I didn't feel scared shipping him this many times because there was plenty of time in between. But yeah, he was shipped a lot. Last I heard, I haven't really heard much recently, and that's generally a good sign that all is going just fine, as expected, because he was one of the easiest ball pythons we've ever gotten. But that's the story of the snake that was dropped on a Walgreens Dropbox. It was a new experience, not super scary, not super stressful, nothing insane. It was kind of weird though. But I've got some more interesting stories if you want to hear about them. From bizarre Craigslist pickups to someone, lots of people threatening to call police or talk to their lawyers about various issues. So when it's over email, people will say anything. If you want to see more, just let me know. This ball python, however, it shed almost instantly after getting shipped back to us. This is the one that had burns and stuff. The burn it's fine. It came completely off on the shed. The shed was clearly super burned, but thankfully, even though it looked bad, it was a pretty light surface burn. And now it's almost perfectly fine. So it took almost no rehab. It was basically just getting it into a proper enclosure, and it cleared up itself. So this one will probably be available somewhat soon once again, but I am taking animals in again, and those will be on the site soon. Well, they're not here yet, but I'll be doing some unboxings, so hopefully you'll be there for that. That's it for this video. You can check out the other kind of story related videos. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.